The dance of the swans is so graceful and charming.
Several days still before Christmas, the snowy streets of Eradiccio were already decorated with colorful lights glistening in the night as shops stood on its either side, brimming with all sorts of sweets and souvenirs. It is on this broad and noisy street that Lesley could be seen, walking slowly and looking at the different stores that lined the side of the road. After hours of thinking about it, Lesley finally decided she should buy a Christmas gift for Guzan. Guzan is a son of the Paxleys, the royal family closest to the Vance. That's probably why they were frequently asked to team up for several missions. He helped her out a few tight spots before, and she eventually began to develop feelings for the man. Guzan was always a quiet man. He rarely spoke to her when on a mission, and his silence has long since intrigued Lesley. She peered into a glass window of a nearby department store and saw a bunch of colorful hand-knitted scarves hanging on a shelf along with thick furry sweaters of assorted colors as well. Guzan seemed to like scarves, Lesley thought. She went inside and examined the scarves. In a nearby shelf of more sweaters stood a familiar figure of a man she had first seen attempting to steal the city's treasures in the laboratory about a year ago. A monkey was perched in his broad shoulders, and he was holding a piece of what looked like a blue sweater. "What are you doing in here?" Lesley said sharply. She was looking suspiciously at the sweater on Claude's hand, which he quickly hid behind his back at the sight of her. He was red all over his face. He was, after all, a former thief, Lesley thought. Who would have known what thing he might be nicking out of this perfectly ordinary shop of Eradiccio? "And nothing. What have you got there?" Claude replied. He saw her holding a pair of scarves and his lips spread into a nasty grin. Lesley noticed that he, too, was wearing a red scarf. "What?" she snapped. "Oh, nothing," he said, still red on his face but now smiling. "You don't need to buy me a present, you know." This man was nothing if not assuming, thought Lesley as she rolled her eyes and turned away from him. Claude is the very opposite of Guzan. He's very noisy and foolish most of the time. Although Lesley can't deny he's cute, she always found the man childish and really annoying, especially when it plays nasty jokes at her brother, Harley. However, on Christmas Eve, it was Lesley who has had a row with Harley this time. Harley, seemed to be getting really annoyed at his sister for being protective of him when he doesn't need her to be. When he told Lesley his plans of spending Christmas with his Erudition friends, Bruno and Lolita, he didn't think she will be following him from their home. Lesley had no choice. She vowed to protect her brother after its parents' death. Harley ran away that night. To Lesley's annoyance, Claude turned up later, carrying a lumpy package with a ribbon wrapped around it. Her frustration at Harley made her tell Claude everything that had happened, almost in tears. But Claude merely smiled weakly and said, "Don't worry. I'm sure he'll be back. Please smile now. You should not be sad in a time like this." He held out the package he was holding to Lesley. And it was that smile, that annoying smile of him, that made her burst in anger. She threw the package away and shouted at Claude, "You're kidding, aren't you? Harley might be in danger right now and you want me to smile? Of course, why would you care? He's only as good as a subject for your jokes, right?" Claude looked abashed at the impact of those words. She sprang up and clutched her sniper, ready to go out. "I'll do it," said a voice. Guzhan appeared in the shadows toward them, apparently listening at the conversation they were having. "I promised I'll find him." Leslie's heart swelled. Guzhan left the scene hurriedly. Claude followed shortly. He was walking slowly, with his head down, clutching the package. She watched him leave the door, too. She left the door ajar for Guzhan and Harley. It was around midnight that Harley appeared at the door, alone. He was looking gloomy. Lesley quickly ran at him and hugged him tight, raising him from the floor. Harley began bursting into tears, telling her how he got lost in the snowy night, and how, by that time, he finally understood that his sister were just doing what she promised his parents she would do. But he said there's a friend of his sister who came and made him realize that. "Guzhan," Lesley said when his brother mentioned about the friend. "I'm glad he talked to you. He's always been quiet, you know. I'm surprised he knows how to give advices, too." Harley was a little confused. "Well, he's quite talkative and funny. But he told me I am all you have left and that I should not make you sad and worried anymore." Lesley smiled. Harley, however, went inside and said, "Maybe I ought to wash up. That man's monkey kept hugging me." "That man's what?" Lesley stood there, rooted at the spot. The door was still open, and from the bottom of the staircase leading to it lay a small lumpy package with a ribbon at the top. Slowly, she went to pick it up and unwrapped it. It contained a royal blue sweater, with a smiling face embroidered in the middle. From a package fell a small card, with something written on it. "I didn't steal this, if that's what you're thinking. Hope to make you smile always. Happy Christmas. Ho ho ho." The end.